Imagine stepping outside your home, and the sky is no longer blue. It's blood red. Ash falls like snow, and the air burns in your throat as if the world itself is on fire. This was not a nightmare. This was Australia, 2019 into 2020. The summer that became known as the Black Summer, when one of the worst wildfire seasons in recorded history turned a continent into an inferno. Australia is no stranger to fire. For centuries, bushfires have been part of its natural rhythm, clearing land, renewing forests, feeding ecosystems. But the summer of 2019 was different. The land was parched after years of drought. Temperatures soared above 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds swept across the plains like bellows on a furnace. All it needed was a spark. And then, fires erupted. Some ignited by lightning, some by accident, some devastatingly by human hands. What began as small blazes quickly grew into monsters. By December 2019, fires were raging across multiple states. By December 2019, fires were raging across multiple states. New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland. Satellite images showed flames stretching hundreds of kilometers. Villages and towns were swallowed in minutes. Families fled through walls of smoke, headlights barely piercing the darkness. The sky turned orange at midday, and from space, the fires glowed so bright they were visible from orbit. Australia wasn't just burning, it was being consumed. For the people on the ground, the Black Summer was terror and resilience rolled into one. Firefighters, both professionals and volunteers, stood on the front lines. Some battled flames taller than buildings with nothing but hoses and courage. Others made impossible choices, defend their homes or save their neighbors. Entire communities were evacuated to beaches, waiting for rescue boats as firestorms closed in from the hills. Children clung to their parents as embers rained down like fireflies. For many, the only sound was the roar of the flames and the cries of wildlife. The toll on nature was catastrophic. Scientists estimate that nearly 3 billion animals, yes, billion, were killed or displaced. Koalas, kangaroos, cockatoos, lizards, entire species faced devastation. Videos went viral of desperate koalas, singed and crying, running toward humans for water. Rescuers wrapped burned animals in blankets, their fur charred, their homes reduced to ash. For a continent already home to some of the world's rarest wildlife, the loss was staggering. By January 2020, the fires reached their peak. More than 46 million acres had burned, an area nearly the size of England. Over 3,500 homes were destroyed. At least 34 people lost their lives. And yet, the numbers only tell part of the story. The grief in Australia was raw. Communities that had stood for generations were gone. The air was thick with smoke, so thick it traveled across oceans, circling the entire globe. For Australians, Black Summer wasn't just a fire season. It was a wound carved deep into the nation's soul. But from the ashes came something extraordinary. Volunteers poured in from across the world, firefighters from the United States, Canada, and beyond. Donations surged, raising hundreds of millions of dollars for relief. Celebrities like Chris Hemsworth, Nicole Kidman, and Elton John gave generously. And ordinary people, neighbors, strangers, farmers, city dwellers stepped up. They opened their homes to evacuees, drove trucks of supplies into danger zones, and comforted those who had lost everything. The world watched in horror, but also in admiration, as Australians stood together in the face of hell. When the rains finally came in February, the relief was mixed with heartbreak. The fires were out, but the scars remained. Scientists called Black Summer a warning. Evidence showed climate change had intensified the droughts and heat, making the fires more extreme. Experts warned this could happen again, worse if nothing changed. For many, Black Summer became a symbol, a reminder that nature's fury is no longer just natural. It's amplified by human choices. But amidst the devastation, there was also rebirth. Green shoots pushed through blackened soil. Kangaroos were spotted hopping through charred fields, alive against the odds. Communities rebuilt, stronger and more determined. And in the silence after the flames, a question remained. What kind of world will we leave behind? The Black Summer wasn't just Australia's tragedy, it was a global wake-up call, a reminder of how fragile life is, how powerful nature can be, and how much we need stories like this to remember. Not just what we've lost, but what we must protect. At Story District, we bring these stories to light. Stories of disaster and resilience, of grief and hope. Don't just watch. Subscribe now to Story District. Because the past isn't just history, it's a lesson for the future. The 2020 Australian bushfires left a scar across a continent. But in the ashes of the Black Summer, one truth still burns.